The red emergency lights flashed across the bridge of the human research vessel Aurora as it drifted through the outer rim of the Andromeda sector. Commander Lee Minho was reviewing routine supply reports when the communications array suddenly erupted with incoming signals from across the galaxy. His coffee mug nearly slipped from his hands as alarms began blaring throughout the ship. "Sir, we're receiving a priority transmission on all emergency frequencies," called out Communications Officer Yang Hyuk from his station. His fingers danced across the holographic interface as dozens of alien languages flooded the speakers simultaneously. It's from the Galactic Medical Council headquarters on Nexus Prime." Minho had never heard such panic in an official transmission before. The Galactic Medical Council was known for their cold, calculated approach to everything. These beings had conquered diseases that wiped out entire star systems, created healing technologies that could regrow limbs in minutes, and developed quantum medical scanners that could detect illness before symptoms even appeared. Dr. Kim Nara rushed onto the bridge, her medical coat still stained from treating a crew member's minor injury in the sickbay. Her dark eyes reflected the emergency lights as she took in the chaotic scene. "What's happening, Commander?" "We're about to find out," Minho replied, nodding to Yang Hyuk. "Put it through the main screen and activate the universal translator." The massive view screen flickered to life, revealing a being that looked like it was made of living crystal. Its translucent body pulsed with faint blue light, but the usual, steady glow was erratic, almost frantic. This was High Healer Zethmon, one of the most respected medical authorities in the known galaxy. "Attention, human vessel Aurora." The crystalline being's voice crackled through the speakers, distorted by what seemed like extreme stress. "This is an emergency transmission from the Galactic Medical Council. We require immediate assistance from any qualified human medical personnel." Nara exchanged glances with Minho. In the 15 years since humanity had joined the galactic community, they had never once been asked for medical help. If anything, alien species consistently mocked human medicine as primitive and outdated. The High Healer continued, its crystalline form flickering more rapidly. "A plague of unknown origin has struck 17 core worlds simultaneously. Current casualty reports indicate 47 million beings have perished across multiple species. Our quantum healing matrices are ineffective. Our molecular reconstruction chambers have failed. Even our neural pattern restoration technology shows no positive results. Through the static, they could see other alien medical officials in the background. A floating jellyfish-like creature with dozens of tentacles was frantically operating some kind of energy-based healing device on a patient. Tall, insectoid beings with multiple arms were injecting glowing substances into writhing forms on medical tables. Nothing seemed to be working. "Sir," whispered Lieutenant Park Subin from the navigation station, "they look terrified. I've never seen aliens panic like this before." Dr. Nara stepped closer to the screen, her medical training taking over. "High Healer Zethmon, what are the primary symptoms? What have your preliminary scans revealed about the pathogen?" The crystalline being's form dimmed noticeably. "Dr. Kim Nara, we have run every test in our medical database. This plague affects the quantum neural matrices that connect consciousness to physical form. Patients begin by losing emotional responses, then motor functions fail, and finally the life force simply extinguishes. Our most advanced scanning equipment detects no foreign organisms, no toxic substances, no electromagnetic interference." "How long from initial symptoms to—" Nara paused, choosing her words carefully. 72 standard hours, came the grim response, "and it is spreading faster than our containment protocols can manage. Planets that were healthy yesterday are now reporting thousands of new cases." Commander Minho felt a chill run down his spine. The most technologically advanced civilizations in the galaxy were helpless against something, and now they were turning to humanity as a last resort. The transmission flickered as High Healer Zethmon seemed to struggle with what to say next. "We are aware that human medical practices are different from our own. Your reliance on biological chemistry rather than quantum energy manipulation has always been considered outdated." "Primitive is the word you're looking for," Nara said. Dryly. "Yes," the High Healer admitted. its glow dimming further with what humans might recognize as embarrassment. But we have exhausted all possibilities. Your rudimentary methods are our final option. We are prepared to offer unrestricted access to our medical facilities, full research data, and significant compensation for any assistance you can provide. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of the ship's engines. Every crew member understood the weight of this moment. Humanity, the newest and supposedly least advanced member of the galactic community, was being asked to save civilizations that had existed for millions of years. Dr. Nara looked at Commander Minho with determination in her eyes. Set course for Nexus Prime, maximum speed. The Aurora shuddered as it dropped out of hyperspace, and the crew immediately understood why this was called the greatest medical crisis in galactic history. Kepler Station stretched before them like a metallic city floating in the void. But something was terribly wrong. The usual bright lights that marked docking bays flickered erratically, and entire sections of the massive structure appeared to be running on emergency power. "My God," whispered Dr. Park Jinwoo as he pressed his face against the observation window. The young medical assistant had never seen anything like this before. Ships from hundreds of different worlds crowded around the station in desperate clusters. Sleek Altarian vessels with their characteristic blue energy trails sat alongside. The organic-looking Zephyrian bioships that seemed to pulse with their own heartbeat. Even the mighty Titan-class medical cruisers of the core worlds were here, their hulls scarred from emergency hyperspace jumps. Commander Lee Minho guided the Aurora through the chaotic traffic with careful precision. Docking control. This is the human vessel Aurora requesting immediate berth assignment. Aurora, you are cleared for Emergency Bay 7. Warning. Station quarantine protocols are in effect. All personnel must undergo bioscanning before entering the main facility, came the strained response from an alien controller whose voice sounded exhausted. As their ship settled into the docking clamps with a metallic clang, Dr. Kim Nara gathered her medical team. She had brought only essential equipment, basic scanners, chemical analysis kits, and traditional pharmaceutical supplies that looked ancient compared to the quantum healing devices she knew they would encounter. "Remember," she told her team as they prepared to disembark, "we're here as consultants, not miracle workers. Stay humble, observe everything, and don't let their technology intimidate you." The airlock hissed open, revealing a scene that would haunt them forever. The docking bay was filled with alien medical personnel rushing between emergency transport pods. Floating robotic stretchers carried unconscious beings of every imaginable species, some humanoid, others resembling nothing, from Earth's evolutionary tree. A group of tall plant-like Sylvani medics tended to their own kind, their normally vibrant green skin now a sickly yellow color. Station Commander Veltar approached them with long, crystalline strides. The being stood nearly 8 feet tall, its translucent body reflecting the emergency lighting in prismatic patterns. But unlike the composed dignity typical of its species, Veltar's movements seemed jerky and stressed. "Dr. Kim Nara, I presume," Veltar said, its voice carrying a subtle harmonic resonance that made the air itself vibrate. "I am Commander Veltar of the Zerion Collective. I must be direct. Your presence here is a matter of last resort. Our quantum healing technologies have never failed before." Nara nodded respectfully, choosing to ignore the obvious condescension. "We understand, Commander. May we begin examining patients immediately?" Veltar's crystalline features shifted in what might have been surprise. "You wish to begin with direct patient contact? Our protocols typically require extensive data analysis. First, different approaches," Nara replied simply. "We'd like to see the worst cases first." As they walked through the station's corridors, the scope of the crisis became clear. The walls themselves seemed to pulse with medical data. Patient statistics, treatment failures, and mortality rates scrolled continuously in dozens of alien languages. Automated medical drones buzzed overhead, carrying supplies between treatment centers that never seemed to have enough resources. They entered Medical Bay Prime, and Dr. Park Jinwoo gasped audibly. The vast chamber stretched for what seemed like miles, filled with thousands of crystalline healing pods arranged in perfect geometric patterns. Each pod contained a being from somewhere across the galaxy, and the sight was both beautiful and terrifying. Each pod represents our most advanced medical technology, Veltar explained, gesturing toward the glowing chambers. Quantum field generators maintain cellular integrity, while molecular reconstructors repair damage at the atomic level. Neural pattern stabilizers ensure consciousness remains intact during treatment. But something was clearly wrong. The pods that should have glowed with steady healing energy instead flickered unpredictably. Inside, patients from dozens of species thrashed weakly against invisible restraints. Some appeared to be screaming silently, their faces contorted in expressions of pure anguish. Dr. Jinwoo approached one pod containing what looked like a massive bear-like creature covered in silver fur. "The readings are all over the place," he reported, checking his simple human scanner against the pod's complex display. "Heart rate equivalent is erratic. Brain activity shows extreme stress patterns, but according to their quantum scanners, there's nothing physically wrong." Nara moved from pod to pod, using her basic medical equipment to take readings that the advanced alien technology seemed to miss. Her simple scanner measured old-fashioned things like body temperature, blood, chemistry equivalents, and basic neurological responses. "Commander Veltar," she said after examining a dozen patients, "your quantum scanners are looking for physical pathogens, correct? Viruses, bacteria, toxic substances, genetic damage?" "Of course," Veltar replied, its tone suggesting this was obvious. "What else could cause such widespread illness?" Nara paused at a pod containing a small childlike being with large eyes and delicate features. The creature's readings showed the same pattern she had observed in all the others. Physical systems failing not from disease, but from something else entirely. "What if this isn't a physical plague at all?" she asked quietly. Dr. Choi Hana stepped off the transport shuttle and immediately felt the weight of thousands of alien eyes upon her. As the Aurora's chief psychologist, she had dealt with stressed humans before, but nothing had prepared her for this. The medical bay buzzed with the constant hum of quantum healing devices, but underneath it all, she could sense something the machines couldn't detect, pure, overwhelming fear. "Commander Veltar," she said, approaching the towering crystalline being, "I need to speak with patients who are still conscious, the ones who can communicate." Veltar's prismatic body flickered with what seemed like annoyance. "Dr. Choi, our medical protocols do not include patient interviews. Emotional responses are irrelevant to quantum healing processes. We focus on cellular regeneration and neural matrix stabilization." "Humor me," Hana replied with a gentle smile that had calmed countless patients over the years. "Sometimes the most important information comes from the simplest questions." Against the protests of several alien medical staff, Hana was led to a section containing conscious patients. Her first subject was a Altarian, a being that looked like a cross between a dolphin and a person, with smooth blue skin and large, intelligent eyes. The creature lay in a healing pod that surrounded it with swirling energy fields, but its distress was obvious. "Hello," Hana said softly, placing her hand near the pod's transparent barrier. "My name is Hana. I'm here to help. Can you tell me when you first started feeling sick?" The Altarian's eyes focused on her with surprise. You wish to hear my words? The healing machines only scan my body patterns." "Your words matter to me," Hana replied. "Tell me about the day you first felt unwell." What followed was a story that made Hana's heart race with understanding. The Altarian described participating in the Grand Cultural Exchange, a massive program where different species shared their deepest traditions, beliefs, and ways of life. It was meant to bring the galaxy together in unprecedented unity. "I experienced the war memories of the Krygon species," the Altarian whispered, its voice trembling. "I felt their rage, their pain, their centuries of conflict. Then I shared consciousness with the ethereal being who had witnessed the birth and death of entire star systems, the weight of their cosmic loneliness. It was unbearable." Hana moved to the next patient, then the next. Each story was similar. Beings who had participated in the cultural exchange were experiencing memories, emotions, and psychological burdens from completely different species. A peaceful plant like Sylvani had absorbed the hunting instincts of a predatory Nexorian. A logical, emotionless synthetic had been flooded with the passionate feelings of a flame dancer from the pyro worlds. "Dr. Kim," Hana called out across the medical bay, "I need you to hear this." Dr. Nara hurried over, followed by Dr. Jinwoo and several curious alien medical staff. The automated medical drones hovering nearby seemed to sense something important was happening and began recording everything. "It's not a disease," Hana announced, her voice cutting through the ambient noise of the medical bay. "It's a collective, psychological crisis." The cultural exchange program allowed species to share consciousness in ways they were never meant to experience. Each species' mind evolved differently, some for logic, others for emotion, some for individual thought, others for hive mind connections. Commander Veltar's crystalline form pulsed with skeptical energy. "Impossible. Emotions are primitive biological responses. Our species transcended such limitations millions of years ago. Our quantum medicine operates on pure energy and molecular manipulation. But your quantum-linked consciousness makes you more vulnerable, not less," Dr. Nara added, understanding dawning in her eyes. "Your minds are connected to each other and to the quantum field itself. When one individual experiences psychological trauma, it spreads through those connections like a virus." The alien medical team exchanged what looked like concerned glances. Dr. Zixathara, a floating jellyfish-like being with dozens of tentacles, drifted closer. "This is absurd. We have eliminated psychological disorders from our species. We do not experience what you call anxiety or depression." "Maybe not before," Hana said gently, "but you're experiencing them now, and your bodies are shutting down because your minds don't know how to process these foreign emotions." Dr. Jinwoo had been quietly observing during this exchange, his simple human scanner in hand. "Dr. Choi, try talking to that patient over there, the one with the silver fur." Hana approached the bear-like creature that Jinwoo had examined earlier. The being's eyes were closed, its breathing shallow and rapid. "Hello," she said softly, placing her hand on the cool surface of the healing pod. "I know you're scared. I know you're feeling things you've never felt before. But you're not alone." The creature's eyes fluttered open, focusing on Hana's face. For a moment, something passed between them. A recognition, a connection that transcended species barriers. "Look at the readings," Jinwoo whispered urgently to Commander Veltar. "Heart rate is stabilizing. Neural patterns are smoothing out, just from human contact and conversation." Veltar's crystalline form flickered as it processed this information. "Impossible. Your primitive medical device must be malfunctioning." But other patients had begun to notice. Across the medical bay, beings in healing pods were turning their attention toward the small group of humans. Some were pressing their hands against the transparent barriers, trying to make contact. Others were calling out in their native languages, seeking the same kind of connection they had witnessed. "Your quantum healing devices are treating symptoms," Hana explained to the gathered alien medical staff. "But they can't treat fear, loneliness, or psychological trauma. Those require something your technology can't provide." "Which is?" asked Dr. Zixathara, its tentacles writhing with curiosity. "Compassion," Hana replied simply. "Understanding. The knowledge that someone cares about your pain, not just your physical condition." The medical bay fell silent, except for the hum of machinery. Then slowly, more patients began to respond. Neural patterns throughout the facility started showing the first signs of improvement in weeks. The argument in Medical Bay Prime could be heard 3 sectors away. Commander Veltar's crystalline form blazed with indignant energy as it towered over Dr. Kim Nara, while dozens of alien medical staff gathered around to witness what they clearly considered madness. "I want to shut down our quantum healing matrices." Veltar's voice resonated with disbelief. "These devices represent 10,000 years of medical advancement. They can rebuild organs at the molecular level, restore neural pathways, even reverse cellular death." "And they're not working," Nara replied calmly, gesturing toward the thousands of suffering patients around them. "Your machines are trying to fix bodies when the problem is in their minds and hearts." Dr. Zixathara floated closer, its jellyfish-like form pulsing with agitation. "Hearts are merely biological pumps. Minds are neural processing centers. We have transcended such primitive concepts as emotional healing. Then why are your people dying? Asked Dr. Choi Hana, her voice gentle but firm. Your quantum scanners show perfect physical health, but your patients are fading away because they're carrying psychological burdens they were never meant to bear. The breakthrough came when engineer Oh Somin stepped forward with a modified communication device she had been working on in the Aurora's workshop. The small, unassuming woman had spent the last 6 hours reverse engineering the station's quantum communication arrays with nothing but basic human tools and stubborn determination. Dr. Nara, Somin said, holding up what looked like a simple tablet computer, I've created a bridge between their quantum systems and our communication networks. If families can talk to patients, maybe it will help. Absolutely not, Commander, Veltar declared, its form flashing with authority. Medical isolation protocols exist for a reason. Patient communication is restricted to essential data transfer only. But that's exactly the problem, Dr. Jinwoo interjected, checking his readings from a nearby patient. Look at these neural patterns. These beings are dying from isolation, from carrying foreign memories and emotions with no way to process them. They need connection, not isolation. What happened next would be talked about in medical schools across the galaxy for generations to come. Dr. Nara walked over to the nearest healing pod, containing a young Altarian whose blue skin had faded to an almost transparent pale color. The being's large eyes were filled with despair as exotic energy fields swirled around its failing body. "What's your name?" Nara asked softly, placing her hand on the pod's surface. "Keftai," the Altarian whispered. I was a deep-sea explorer from Altair Prime. Do you have family, Keftai? Someone who loves you? The alien's eyes filled with tears that sparkled like liquid diamonds. My pod siblings, my water children. They must think I have abandoned them. Engineer Somin activated her device. And suddenly, the sterile medical bay filled with the sound of rushing water and melodic calls that sounded like whale songs mixed with laughter. Through the quantum communication link, Keftai's family appeared as shimmering holograms around the healing pod. Keftai. The voices of his loved ones created harmonies that made even the human crew feel emotional. We have been calling for you through the deep currents. Come home to us. The change was immediate and dramatic. Keftai's neural patterns stabilized for the first time in weeks. His skin began to regain its natural blue coloration, and the quantum healing devices finally registered improving vital signs. Commander Veltar stood frozen, watching its sophisticated medical equipment react to something it had never been programmed. To understand the healing power of love and connection, "This is impossible," whispered Dr. Zixthara, but its tentacles were already reaching for communication controls. "The quantum matrices are stabilizing through emotional resonance patterns. How is this happening?" Dr. Hana moved through the medical bay like a conductor orchestrating a symphony of healing. She showed alien medical staff how to sit with patients, how to listen not just to symptoms, but to fears and hopes and dreams. The concept was so foreign to their advanced medical training that many struggled to understand. "You want me to just sit here?" asked a tall, insectoid Krygon medic, its forearms twitching with confusion as it hesitantly approached a patient. "Just be present," Hana explained. "Let them know they're not alone with whatever they're feeling." Engineer Somin worked tirelessly to establish communication links throughout the station. Soon, Medical Bay Prime was filled with the sounds of a dozen different worlds, the singing winds of the crystal caves, the drumming rhythms of the warrior worlds, the gentle chimes of the peaceful gardens. Families, friends, and loved ones reached across the galaxy to comfort those who were suffering. The alien medical staff watched in amazement as patient after patient began to recover. Beings who had been unconscious for days opened their eyes when they heard familiar voices. Neural patterns that had been chaotic for weeks smoothed into healthy rhythms when patients felt emotionally supported. Dr. Nara found herself surrounded by alien medical personnel asking questions she never expected to hear from advanced civilizations. "How do you quantify emotional support?" asked a crystalline healer. "What is the proper dosage of compassion?" inquired a mechanical medical unit. "Can empathy be programmed into our healing matrices?" wondered a floating energy being. "The most Remarkable transformation came from Commander Veltar itself. The proud crystalline being stood at the center of the medical bay, watching its people heal through methods its species had forgotten millions of years ago. "We became so advanced," Veltar said quietly to Dr. Nara, "that we forgot what it meant to simply care for one another. Your primitive medicine isn't primitive at all. It's the foundation that we built everything else on top of and then abandoned." Throughout the station, recovery rates skyrocketed as human methods combined with alien technology. The quantum healing devices worked better than ever before, but now they were treating patients whose minds and hearts were also being healed through connection, compassion, and understanding. The Grand Assembly Hall on Nexus Prime had never witnessed anything like this before. Representatives from over 300 worlds filled the massive chamber that could hold 50,000 beings. The air shimmered with translation fields as delegates spoke in languages ranging from harmonic whale songs to crystalline light patterns. At the center of it all stood Dr. Kim Nara, still wearing her simple human medical coat, addressing the most powerful medical minds in the galaxy. "6 months ago, you called our methods primitive," Nara said, her voice carried by quantum amplifiers to every corner of the hall. "Today, the human healing protocol has saved over 47 million lives across 17 star systems, but the numbers don't tell the real story." In the VIP section, Commander Veltar's crystalline form pulsed with pride as it watched its human friend speak. The once arrogant station commander had become one of humanity's strongest advocates, having witnessed firsthand the transformation that emotional healing could bring. High Counselor Zenthara, a massive being that looked like a living mountain covered in glowing moss, spoke from the central dais. "Dr. Nara, the Galactic Medical Council hereby officially recognizes the human healing protocol as standard medical practice across all member worlds. Furthermore, we appoint you as the first director of psychological medicine for the entire galaxy." The hall erupted in sounds that defied human understanding: crystalline chimes, harmonic vibrations, electromagnetic pulses, and thousands of other ways different species expressed approval. But Nara's attention was drawn to the viewing gallery, where her crew from the Aurora cheered in plain old human applause. Dr. Choi Hana wiped tears from her eyes as she watched her colleague accept an honor that would have been unimaginable just months ago. Who would have thought that talking to patients would revolutionize galactic medicine? Engineer Osamin grinned as she pointed to the massive display screens around the hall showing statistics from across the galaxy. "Recovery rates are up 400% on worlds using our communication protocols. Turns out everyone in the universe just wants to know that someone cares about them." But the real changes were happening on worlds far from the political center of Nexus Prime. On the ocean world of Altair Prime, human medical officers worked alongside Altarian healers in underwater hospitals, teaching them how to combine their natural empathy with advanced quantum medicine. The results were miraculous. Patients who would have taken months to recover were healing in weeks. Dr. Park Jinwoo found himself stationed on the warrior world of Krygon Prime, where the proud, battle-hardened species had initially resisted human weakness with fierce determination. But when their greatest war heroes began suffering from what humans recognized as post-traumatic stress, everything changed. "Your people call it the warrior's burden," Jinwoo explained to General Thakmore, a massive reptilian being covered in battle scars. "You've carried the weight of countless conflicts, but you've never learned how to set that weight down." The breakthrough came when Krygon veterans began sharing their experiences with human counselors who understood trauma from their own species' violent history. Soon, the toughest warriors in the galaxy were learning meditation techniques, emotional expression, and the radical concept that seeking help was a sign of strength, not weakness. On the technological world of Nexus Beta, Dr. Lee Subin worked with artificial intelligences who had developed what could only be described as digital depression. The synthetic beings had calculated the probability of cosmic entropy and concluded that existence was meaningless. Human philosophy and the concept of finding purpose despite uncertainty gave them a new perspective on their electronic lives. Existence doesn't have to have ultimate meaning to be valuable, Subin explained to a massive AI consciousness that existed as pure light patterns. Sometimes meaning is found in the connections we make and the help we give to others. The most remarkable transformation occurred on the scholarly world of Cerebros, where a species of pure intellectual beings had evolved beyond physical form. They existed as thought patterns in quantum computers, dedicating their existence to pure logic and calculation. But the cultural exchange program had introduced them to concepts like beauty, wonder, and emotional connection that their logical minds couldn't process. Dr. Kang Minju, working with a team of human artists and musicians, helped these beings understand that logic and emotion weren't opposites. They were partners in the full experience of consciousness. The breakthrough came when the Cerebros beings created their first work of art, a mathematical equation so beautiful that it made observers weep. Commander Lee Min-ho stood on the bridge of the Aurora as they prepared for departure from Nexus Prime. The ship had been upgraded with new quantum communication arrays that would allow them to maintain contact with human medical teams across the galaxy. Their next mission would take them to the Outer Rim, where newly discovered species were requesting human medical assistance before they even needed treatment. "Sir," called out Communications Officer Yang Hyok, "we're receiving over 300 requests for human medical teams. Apparently worlds that haven't even experienced the plague want our people there as preventive care." Minho smiled as he watched Commander Veltar's ship, the Crystal Harmony, take formation alongside them. The crystalline being had requested to join their missions, eager to learn more about the integration of emotional and quantum healing. Dr. Nara joined Minho on the bridge, carrying a data pad filled with reports from human medical teams across the galaxy. The Galactic Medical Council wants to establish human healing centers on every inhabited world. They're calling it the most significant medical advancement since the discovery of quantum cellular regeneration. "What's our next stop?" asked Dr. Hana, looking at the star charts with excitement. "The unexplored territories," Minho replied. "There's a distress call from a species that's never made contact with the galactic community before. They've heard about human healing methods and specifically requested our assistance." As the Aurora and its escort ships engaged their hyperspace drives, Minho reflected on how much had changed. Humanity had joined the galactic community as the newest and supposedly least advanced member. Now they were essential partners in the most important work in the universe, healing not just bodies but minds, hearts, and souls. "You know what the funny thing is?" Minho said to his crew as stars streaked past the view screen. "We didn't need to invent anything new. We didn't need advanced technology or quantum computers. The most powerful medicine in the galaxy was something we'd had all along, the simple ability to care about each other." Engineer Oh Somin checked her communication systems as messages poured in from across the galaxy. Updates from human medical teams, requests for assistance, and simple thank you messages from patients whose lives had been transformed by compassion. "Sir," she said with a grin, "I think we're going to need a bigger ship." The end.